to hop into the first question. The first question asks, do you like dirty talk, or is it a turn off for you? Nobody has ever asked me if I like dirty talk. And I wonder if I give off the energy that I do like dirty talk. Now, just in terms of like BDSM shit, I'm not big on degrading, and I don't really like being degraded, right? So not a degrader, not a degradee. However, there is certain stuff that somebody can say to me during sex, of course. Only during sex. And I'll let it slide during sex. But I wouldn't say that I like dirty talk, but I don't dislike it either. It's okay. It's okay. Dirty talk is okay. But it's not something where I'm like, ooh, talk dirty to me. I would never tell a motherfucker to talk dirty to me. And if I did tell somebody to talk dirty to me, it's in a non-sexual context. Like, for example, a motherfucker might say, like, I'm gonna beat your ass when I see you. And I'll be like, ooh, talk dirty to me. Or they, but it's not like I'm being a dickhead in that moment. It's not because I like being, like, told that they gonna do that. Or maybe I do. Maybe it's some brat shit. Maybe I'm being bratty in that moment. But when I say talk dirty to me, it's because I'm making something sexual that's probably not sexual. That's the only time I say, like, talk dirty to me. But I don't really be meaning it in, like, a literal sense. So, yeah. It's not a turn off. It's not a turn off, but it's not something where it's like I'm super into it either. All right? So I'm kind of in the middle when it comes to dirty talk. But I do like talking. I like talking during sex. You know what's tripping me up, I think, is the fact that it's called dirty talk. I don't think it's dirty talk. It's just sex talk. How are you communicating during sex? It's nothing dirty about sex. It's natural. So I think, all right. So I think we need to normalize not calling it dirty talk and just call it sex talk. That's one. Because I don't like dirty shit. So that's one. And two, I think that once we are able to not refer to it as dirty talk, but refer to it as sex talk, we don't view it as something shameful. And I think that's what it is. The fact that sometimes we view sexual activities as shameful, and we say stuff like, oh, we finna do the nasty. We finna get dirty. We finna, like, come on now, bro. Like, no. We need to just, I think we need to reconstruct how we go about sex conversations. So, yeah, good question, though. Because like I said, ain't nobody ever asked me, do I like dirty talk? People just kind of assume I want to hear certain shit, and I think that's just what it is. Next question. Any tips for someone trying to explore being a voyeur? Good question. So if you guys are new or don't remember or know what a voyeur is someone who likes to watch people have sex. Now, I would say my tips would be to tell people that you are willing to watch them have sex. Now, I'm not saying like just walk up to strangers like, hey, I'm willing to watch you have sex, just in case you were looking. Definitely not saying that. But what I am saying is reach out to some of your kinky friends. Like, you might have, like, for example, I make it perfectly clear I'm super vocal about liking to be watched. So when I have a friend who's a voyeur, I'll just give you guys like a quick scenario. I might say like, oh, I love being watched. And then somebody might volunteer the information of like, oh, well, if you need an audience, let me know. Or you know, feel free to share something with me, right? But you being a voyeur, I would say go to a sex party. Go to a sex club. Go somewhere where sexual activity will be taking place. And then you'll be in a situation to watch sex taking place. Like, because you're going somewhere where there will be sex. Also, as someone who is a voyeur and an exhibitionist, I like when people send me videos. So I'm very I've been vocal about that. So someone would be comfortable with sending me a video because they know that I've expressed interest in that in the past. Now again, consent is important even when it comes to the sharing of content, of sexual content. So make sure you are having those conversations with people, and just, there's a level of trust between whoever it is that you're asking to send you something. Or if you might have a friend where you like, or somebody that you're talking to, and you might say like, yo, next time you masturbate, FaceTime me. If they are exhibitionists, they'll probably do that. Or if they choose like, oh, well, I'm not going to FaceTime you, but I'm going to record it and I'm going to let you see it. Like, it might be a situation like that. So, yeah, good question. Good question. But I definitely say check out a sex club. Check out, there are a couple, there are sex clubs all over. Just figure out where your local sex club is and give it a try. Okay. Third and final question, and then we're going to jump into the episode. Advice for someone who wants to open up and explore more tantric sex, and how. So, guys, I love Tantra. Tantra sex is about the wholeness and the oneness that you feel with your partner. When it comes to the sexual activity that you guys are doing, right? So it feels like yoga. Like, literally, it feels like that's what it feels like. Like, it feels like that exchange of energy on like a different level, right? So it's like you might be practicing mindful breathing, right? So more specific, I'm getting into the tips right now, right? So mindful breathing, being super present, right? So you might decide to like slow down your breaths while you're having sex, control your breaths and experience something different just by changing the way you breathe during sex. Like, you're gonna experience different sensations. It may also mean incorporating, like, you might I'm gonna give you guys an example. You might decide to tell your partner to get butt ass naked and lay down on the bed, and then you go and you get like some Palo Alto sticks and some sage, and like you are literally doing like a sex ritual, right? You might get your singing bowls and then try to stimulate them with the sounds of the singing bowls. Or you might just practice very slow breathing with your partner. Like, you might be sitting on your partner, assuming that this is a FM situation, right? I'm assuming that there's a man and a female present. It might be a situation where the lady is sitting on a guy and she riding very slowly, like with intent, and then she's making eye contact and she's controlling her breathing, right? And she is she might be literally like manifesting and meditating in her brain while she's doing all this, right? She's activating different chakras, she's activating her energy in this moment, and she's super present and super intentional, right? That is one way to practice a sex ritual, aka sex magic, aka Tantra, because I view Tantra as I view sex in a very tantric way, because I view it as almost when it comes to sexuality, I view it as a spirituality, as a religion. I know that sounds very cult like of me, and I'm not running away from the allegations. Just kidding. No, Diddy. But there you can also practice, like, again, when it comes to like just the different positions, right? Because different positions are going to activate different energy sources. It's going to open you up in different ways. It might mean that you incorporate different yoga positions into sex, but you're doing it during sex, right? Yeah, like it's a couple, like I would say to you, because your very specific question was advice for someone who wants to open up and explore Tantra, you have to figure out what parts of Tantra you want to practice. And there are a lot of books, there are a lot of resources that you can read up on. But again, it could start just as simple as you just being mindful of your sexual energy. Because again, Tantra literally just means oneness. Like, it's more than sex. It's like that oneness that you feel during sex, where it's like, yo, you feel like you are creating something in that moment. And you are, like, y'all making sex. Like, you are creating something, right? You're creating something magical. And if you have that mindset when it comes to whatever sexual experience you're about to have, you'll be doing Tantra. That's exactly what it is. It's literally just the way in which the physical and the spiritual are connected in that moment. So that's why there are certain positions that make you feel more wholeness and oneness with the person that you're having sex with in that moment. So yeah, great questions. So yeah, let's get into it. It's your freak hostess, Jody, and you're tuned into Prhoevocative.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
I will marry a nigga off some dick, because everything else we can work on. And I have sporadic periods of excessive masturbation. I really like how that just sounded. If I fuck you once and it's good, I'm gonna keep fucking you. Because I didn't start sucking dick until college.
Blew in that man's butthole. That shit is wicked. That shit is...
So, today's confession comes from a listener, and I'll just get straight into it, because this is my first time reading it, actually. I hope these are anonymous, LOL. If not, oh well. But my baby daddy used to always brag and throw in my face how he could fuck my friends, and how he would have, but he didn't want to hurt me, and a bunch of other BS about fucking my friends. So after we broke up, I waited 6 years, and I fucked one of his friends. And of course he knew I was his BM, talking about the friend, of course. We actually talked before me and my baby daddy, and I didn't know they were friends until I was already in a relationship with my baby daddy. So technically, we both just spent the block on each other. So she said she kept fucking him on and off about 2.5 years. He easily became top 2 on the list of eaters and top 3 on the dick. My baby daddy isn't even top 5. I don't know if he was lying about fucking my friends, but I wasn't when I said I always get my lick back. Whew. Today's whole fashion was spicy. Let me see what I have to say in response to that. I have fucked an associate of my baby daddy as well. I had a whole threesome with a chick that I met through my baby daddy. So they are coochie cousins. I made them coochie cousins, right? So here's the thing. I feel like when you know you're not going to be with your baby daddy, you know that was a situation that you clearly wasn't going back to. It is an interesting dynamic sometimes, because I've been in a situation, for example, where there was this guy and I wanted to have sex with him, and he was an associate. He was an associate of my child's father. However, the guy, when I came at him, he was like, "Oh no, we can't do that. I'm cool with woo woo." And in my head, I'm like, bro, me and him ain't been together in 9 years. That shit ain't changing no time. Like, it's never changing. Like, Just because I had a previous relationship with this person and we have a child as a sex receipt, he doesn't own me. It's just something about like a motherfucker making it seem like the person like people own you after you've gone years without any type of relationship or interaction with them. Is just kind of like wild to me. But to each its own. People have boundaries and whatnot and limits. Well, not even boundaries and limits, morals or like whatever moral code you willing to, stand on or whatever. But yeah, that's not to say that, like, for example, I would go and fuck my baby daddy, like, best friend in the whole world, or like somebody that he called like his brother. I wouldn't do that. Now, I wouldn't do that. And I wouldn't do that because if I was in a relationship with someone for a certain amount of time and they refer to this person as their brother, I would also consider them like a brother. So I wouldn't do anything like that. Like, that's, just kind of giving like my little like overall 2 cents on what I would do versus what I wouldn't. That does not mean that I judge motherfuckers that do, because do what works for you. Me personally, I just wouldn't do it. And I be doing a lot of shit. But it's, it's some shit that even, I choose not to do. But look, she said she was going to get her leg back. She don't even know. Like, it didn't matter if he was lying or telling the truth, because she over here like, it don't matter. You said you was going to hit me and I don't know. I'm going to make sure I hit back. So that's look, not to slut shame y'all or anything, but y'all could be sluttier like today's whole fashion. Like, that shit was just lit. We're going to get into the vocabulary word of the day. The vocabulary word of the day is electrician. And the reason that is the vocabulary word of the day is because yesterday was April 14th, and that was Cake and Cunnilingus Day. So I hope all the cunnilinguists were out eating some coochie last night, because that's what last night was about. It was about buying your favorite coochie a cake and eating her out. Like, yeah. So, a electrician is a noun, and it refers to a person that is extremely skilled in cunnilingus. So similar to like the nectrician, when a female's real good with, like, her neck skills and shit like that. Like, she just be bobbing and weaving with her throat on the dick. Electrician is someone that will literally lick your problems away by going crazy on that pussy. So that is electrician. We're going to get into today's topic. And today I want to talk about threesomes. Now, I'm only talking about threesomes again because I always hear so much like feedback when it comes to what a threesome is and what it is not, right? So I really want to focus on like the definition aspects a little bit here. So by definition, literally by definition, a threesome is a group of 3 people joined together for sexual pleasure. That is it. It did not say everybody's fucking everybody. It did not say it literally is a broad definition, but specific in the sense that 3 people come together for sexual pleasure to engage in some sort of sexual experience, right? In the same room. There are 4 types of threesomes. I hate that we oftentimes only talk about like threesomes in a very specific way. We only talk about the good kind of threesome. And we need to stop that, right? So there are 4 types of threesomes. The FFM, all right? We got a FFM. We have a MMF. We have a MFM. And we have a FMF. All right. Think about, this is how you'll be able to easily distinguish between a FFM, a MMF, a MFM, and a FMF. What letter is in the middle? What letter is in the middle? The letter in the middle will give you a sense of the dynamic as to what's going on. So, I'll go over the more traditional kind of threesome first. The FMF, right? That's where the man is the center of the threesome. He receives the most pleasure from the threesome experience. The women are there, and he's, he probably eating this pussy and he's fucking her, and they don't have to necessarily interact with each other. But they both are interacting with him, right? So my first threesome was a true FMF, right? So outside of me and the girl, the only thing that happened in that threesome was that, like, she sucked my titties. I didn't do anything to her. Very much pillow princess. Like, I was a pillow princess, right? However, the guy, he had sex with me. She gave him head and he had sex with her. I did not give him head. I was very much pillow princess in that threesome, right? Because it was my first time. I was shy, guys. So what I experienced, that first one was a true FMF. And the reason that it was a true FMF, and I know in the past I've even referred to it as well as TJ as a 1.5some, where it's like, okay, me and the woman didn't really have a lot of sexual interaction. Like, we weren't like scissoring and bumping coochies and eating each other out. We wasn't doing none of that, right? However, a true FMF means that the man is in the middle, so the women are on the outside, right? They don't have to necessarily interact sexually. Now, the second type of threesome that is often talked about, which is actually referred to as the devil's threesome, that is a MFM. And that is what a lot of people refer to as a train, where there's a woman in the middle and there's a guy maybe getting some head and there's another guy that's probably fucking, and people refer to that as a train. But it is a threesome because, again, by definition, a threesome is when 3 people come together for sexual pleasure. And yeah, like I said, that's referred to as the devil's threesome. Now let's get into a MMF. Now you have one man in the middle, and then you have a man and a woman on the outside. So this may mean that there's someone who identifies as bisexual or bicurious, and there is some sexual interaction between the two men. And the woman is also interacting with the man in the middle, but that does not mean necessarily that she's interacting with the man on the opposite end necessarily. Like, there's no like, oh, you definitely have to necessarily, right? But they're all still present in the same room, so therefore it's still a threesome. And then you have the FFM, right? So the FFM is where the woman is in the middle. There is some sexual interaction between the two women. There's some sexual interaction between the woman in the middle and the man on the end. And but that, again, we know from even my experiences that I've shared with you guys that sexual interaction does not mean penetration necessarily, right? With my married couple, I tell y'all that was, a really great threesome experience, and the husband did not penetrate me. Me and the wife had majority of the sexual interactions. He, gave me head, I gave him head. We both gave his wife head, and his wife gave me head, but she didn't give her husband head. She gave her husband coochie though. So I, in that situation, I was like, a vitamin, right? Like the wife don't suck dick, brought me in. That's what I was doing, right? And it's not that she doesn't suck dick. She's never sucked dick while I was present, but also, she very much vocalized that she doesn't really enjoy it. So, as someone who does enjoy it, that was dope, bring me in for that. So, yeah. I definitely think that the reason we only talk about the first two, the FMF and the MFM situations, we only refer to, well, not we, but a lot of people have been socialized to only discuss the FMF as this is what a threesome is. There's a reason that the good kind of threesome, that's the one, right? And then you have the FMF, which people don't always refer to as a threesome, but instead opt for the word train. Saying like, oh, this person is getting ran. Now, a lot of the reasoning behind that is rooted in misogyny. It's rooted in homophobia, because the only reason why, or one of the very only reasons why someone might choose to refer to a MFM threesome as a train and not a threesome is because people are misusing the word and making assumptions around the sexual activities that are taking place in said threesome. So if I say, actually, the only types of threesomes I've had are the FMF and the FFM. Okay? I've not had a threesome where two men were present, but also I have not had a threesome where there was like, oh, one of the guys was like bisexual or something like that, or bi-curious at the least. Never been in those situations, but I have been in situations, of course, where two women were present. And I knew for a while that those threesome experiences were very different, obviously. They're different from each other, but my very first threesome versus every threesome I've had since then, every threesome I've had since the first one has been a FFM. I've said this before. I'm not a bisexual woman. However, some of the other threesomes I've been in, that woman was bisexual. And at the very least, I'm bi-curious. Might not be bisexual, but I'm very much bi-curious. I fall on the bi-curious, just a little bi-curious side of the sexuality spectrum, right? So it's super interesting, I think, as well, how men are not allowed to publicly vocalize being in a MMF or MFM situation in a way that is, free of homophobia. And a lot of times they fear, or there's this stigma associated to those types of threesomes because, again, they don't want people to assume like, oh, if there was another man involved and you say it's a threesome, then y'all was fucking on each other. No, that's not what that means. Again, I had a whole FFM situation. The husband did not penetrate me, right? There could have been a situation where there was no interactions between me and the husband at all, and it still would have been a FFM by definition, because again, there was a woman at the center of it, and there were two others on the outside, right? There is a lot of assuming when it comes to what sex is, and on the one hand, the definition is kind of, it's pretty specific, but it can also be expansive because you can have a really dope sexual experience without any penetration whatsoever. You can have an orgasm just by being touched. That does not mean that that was not a sexual experience, right? There's different energies that are involved, and the actions involved can make it sex-like. It still makes it a sexual experience, even if penetration did not occur. So, I think I'm a end the main part there, and I'm gonna get right into the daily motivational. So the whole affirmation of the day. I've said this recently, but a lot of the way in which I viewed sex for a long time was limited because I was afraid. I was afraid of being seen as gay. I was afraid of the gay. Didn't want to be gay. I was afraid of being a hoe. Didn't want to be a hoe. Didn't want to be called a hoe, right? I was afraid of being seen in a way that, in hindsight, when I look back, was just a figment of my imagination. Like, it was literally like me saying, like, oh, you know, people might view me this way or that way or this way or that way. All to come to find out that people are going to have whatever fucking opinions and views regardless of what you do or say. And I had to get to a realization that I didn't want to live my life like that, depriving myself of sexual pleasure for people that don't move me. Like, what you do has no real consequences or impact when it comes to my life. So why do I hold your power or will hold your opinions in a powerful light? Or why do I have so much regard for them? And once I realized that sounds fucking stupid when you say it out loud, I was able to stop doing that shit. Like, when I'm fucking somebody and I'm having a very good experience, these vanilla ass motherfuckers that's in my Instagram comments that's telling me like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this or shouldn't be doing that, they not feeling what I'm feeling. I'm not fucking them. Like, and they're not me getting fucked. They're not me doing the fucking. Like, none of, like, there's no correlation. Like, there's no, like, this shit makes no sense whatsoever. So I say that to say, fuck people's opinions on your sex life. It's your sex life. Make it be the best, the optimal, the most amazing experience that you can experience for you. It does not matter what the next person is doing. It don't matter what the next person is into or not into. If it is not you and your partner, or it's not a situation where you guys are doing any harm or anything like that, right? Of course, you guys should always be safe and practice, great boundaries and have really good communication. But when it comes to people where it's like, it's not conducive to your sex life, why the fuck do you care what they think? Why do you care? Right? So, not to slut shame y'all, but y'all could be sluttier. And I encourage you to give yourself permission to do exactly that. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. Make sure you are tuning in to The Never Ever Met. It is on TV and HBO Max, starring yours truly. And be on the lookout for some more provocative content coming, of course. Patreon is bussing. Got a lot of bonus episodes in the works for the Patreon. Make sure you are subscribing to the Patreon. Make sure you are leaving reviews of the show. I love reviews. Please send me reviews. Rate the show. Keep sending me your whole fashions. These are lit. Thank you for sharing a piece of you with me, because this should feel like a really dope kink community, right? Like, I share my stories, you guys share your stories with me, we share our stories with each other, right? We are here for each other. This is a safe space to be provocative. So that is all I got for y'all. Make sure y'all check out the website too, prhoevocative.com. I got merch up there. I'm actually finna drop a new shirt. So the shirt gonna say summer's coming up, do it in the butt. So, yeah, that's all I got for y'all. I'm out. Before you go, I want to remind you to embrace your inner hoe. Thank you for tuning in to Prhoevocative, and don't forget to follow us on all streaming platforms. Happy hoeing. PRHOEVOCATIVE. Spell with the word hoe because deep down, we all got some hoe in us. And this is your safe space to be unapologetically provocative. Oh, is my growl too masculine?
You put the nigga in missionary and the moment.
What the fuck?
That shit is wild.